and welcome to Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. On today's show, we're focusing on empowering women with two remarkable leaders, Jade Kearney, CEO of SheMatters, and Eiko La Boria, founder of the Flow Initiative. But first, Robert Greenberger of AristaCare Health Services joins us to discuss how they offer top-tier senior care services, post-acute rehabilitation, memory care, and long-term care to patients around New Jersey. Robert, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me, Lisa Marie.
Can you explain what sets AristaCare's quality experience program apart from all of the others here in the Garden State?
Sure, thank you. So many times this role is called concierge, which we hate that name. A concierge is a pretty girl, handsome guy, gives out coffee. That's not what we have. I'm not saying they're not pretty. I'm not saying they're not handsome. What I'm saying is that their role is much more intricate, and they're basically a C-suite position. We also have extremely thorough processes that they need to follow, so that the concierge program is thorough, and it's not a one-man show. It's a facility. It takes a village for to bring up a family. It takes a facility. It takes the entire team to have a thorough quality experience program. And I think that, in a nutshell, is what makes us different.
So what does AristaCare do for their patients?
Okay, so firstly, the quality experience person will individually meet each one of them upon admission or within their 24 hours since they've been there. So they're coming to meet them upon admission. First, they do a first impression survey. So we want to know, it's not scientific because you've been there for an hour, 2 hours sometimes, but we want to know, what was your first impression? Because we want to be able to, from the get-go, say the person perhaps saw somebody at the door that didn't smile, the bedside table wasn't ready. We want to get on it immediately. Then after 48 hours or so, we take a thorough survey. When I say a thorough, meaning key questions, so we're not making people crazy with a lot of questions, but those key questions will then give us a good idea as to where this new patient is coming in our building, what experience they're having, and how we can make it different. So we're not waiting. Once that happens, let's say a patient scores us a 3 out of 5. Immediately, we have a computer program where they enter that concern into it would be like you have a help desk system for your IT. We have a program that they're entering it into that system. Once it's entered into that system, the concern where a patient said, my pillow wasn't fluffy, or whatever it is that their concern was, that cannot be deleted or erased. It's now tracked. So that's where it starts. Now, the team internally will review those concerns, but we, from a corporate level, see this interaction. We can make sure it fits the standards that we're looking for because we have access to the system. But more than that, we can see how long it takes to resolve. We can then, once a month, myself and clinical operations team, we get together with the entire team and we review every single concern that the building had for that month. We have a little joke that I get a commission per concern. The more concerns, the merrier. Because I feel that if you're not getting concerns, that means you're not listening to people. And that's really a key factor where it's not just the building involved. We try the best we can to make sure that the building is meeting our standards and that they know that there is openness and transparency and that a patient knows that if you ever had an issue, there's no red tape. Then after someone had a concern, we have a post-concern survey. So if you had a concern, we'll check on you in 2-3 days after the concern. If it was a more serious concern, and take another survey to see how satisfied you were, and then before discharge. So it's a very thorough process so that we're not losing anything, we're not missing anything.
Robert, I love how you look at every nuance of the patient. And one thing you didn't touch on that I love when we first got together, by the way, we got a shout out, Nadine Breckner, who brought us together over the summer. And it was so great getting to know you and the company. But my favorite part of what you do is the cultural program. So for example, if you have a dementia patient who is Italian, you make sure they have Italian food, Italian speaking people around them. And it's just so important. And I love that you do that.
We have an everyone program, meaning we try to find what are the collective needs of groups and then what are the individual needs. So whether it be a dementia patient that used to be a school teacher that we want to get her a notebook and a blackboard, or whether it be a Polish patient that's used to a certain soup that will make them feel at home, we'll get them that. So those are our dementia patient, our dementia program, and our cultural programs.
I think that is so key to patient success. How many buildings do you have across the Garden State?
In the Garden State, we have 8 buildings. We have 2 in Pennsylvania.
Got it. And looking ahead, what are your plans for expansion?
So this year was a big expansion year. We took over several buildings this year. It's interesting you talk about expansion because our company is celebrating 25 years. Now, if you're familiar with the industry, there are not a lot of 25-year-old companies. I'm not saying we're the only ones, but there's not a lot. A lot of companies, it's big investments. We modeled ourselves as an individual family owner, but to give us the corporate structure that we can support an individual building with the expertise that you can't have in one building. So we, through this period of growth where a lot of companies just bought out a bunch of companies and flipped other companies, we want to be able to give the buildings that we have the AristaCare flavor. We want them, we're not just taking over the building for the quick investment so that our shareholders are happy. We are privately owned, but we are a company that wants to make our fingerprint on the building that we took over. So this past year, we took over 3 new buildings. Thank God the transition has gone wonderfully. We met some beautiful people in these buildings that were working there that were so gracious in welcoming us and implementing our systems. But for this next year, I think our goal is to make those new buildings shine and to grow. So not necessarily expansion, but to do more of a deep dive into those buildings to make them really our flavor.
I think you will get there for sure. Where can our viewers learn more about AristaCare?
So you can learn by going to our website, just AristaCare in Google, and it will give you all of our AristaCare buildings. AristaCare Health Services is our parent company, but each AristaCare has their own little website. But if you go onto AristaCare website, you can go to each of those buildings. You can find them all.
Robert, thank you so much for telling us about AristaCare, and thank you for all that you are doing to make the Garden State healthier.
Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
New Jersey-based CEO of SheMatters, Jade Kearney, founded her organization after her battle with postpartum anxiety and depression. Now she's made it her life's mission to help other women in need. Jade, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me today.
I always love having fellow women entrepreneurs on, and I can't wait to dive into your story. Tell us how you founded SheMatters.
Well, I founded SheMatters after the birth of my first daughter. I now have 4 children, but I was really nervous just about all of the statistics around Black maternal mortality and morbidity during pregnancy. But the real challenge started for me during my postpartum period. And so I felt just a disconnect culturally because there's an unspoken allegiance to suffering in silence for Black women during postpartum. And then I felt totally neglected in my postpartum period by healthcare providers, given all the statistics around just systemic racism and just women in general being ignored when they have serious symptoms. And I thought to myself, like, this can't be the way of motherhood. This can't be my journey, and I'm not going to let it be. So as I started to heal and started to converse with other women, I quickly realized that what I was experiencing, postpartum anxiety, OCD, and really residuals from preeclampsia and bleeding during my hemorrhaging during my pregnancy, so many other Black women and so many other marginalized women experience during their delivery, birthing, pregnancy, and postpartum period as well. And I said, well, my life's work has to be getting information, education, and access to women who are traditionally ignored in healthcare.
What a beautiful mission. And by the way, 4 kids you're doing all this with, that's incredible. How do you, we'll get into obviously back on track in a second, but how do you keep that all balanced?
I say, like, some days I'm a really, really great mom, and some days I'm a really great CEO. Like, I think work life balance is kind of a misnomer. And I believe in quality over quantity. My hope is that one day my daughter looks up and she's like, Mommy wasn't there that Tuesday, but she was trying to, improve healthcare for women all over this country.
You painted the picture so well with that, right? And then some days you're not good at either. And then some days you're good at both, right? It
Yes,
changes minute by
absolutely.
minute. Yes.
It does.
Well, you have raised with She Matters a total of 3.5 million, which is
Yes.
unbelievable. How does that funding help your mission?
The funding provides us with the means to make this full time, for the folks in our C suite and my co founder, Marguerite Pierce. It allows us to pay traditionally marginalized people what they deserve to help us in this mission. It allows us to offer Black women free therapy, right? It allows us to really dig deep into this work. You can't really do anything without funding, right? Black women get half a percentage point of venture capital out of all the venture capital ever, right? Like every year, Black women get a half a percentage point. And so we're happy that we can say that we've gotten venture capital to do the work of decreasing Black maternal mortality. But there's always room for more. I would like to say that most women, whatever we raise, we should have raised double, right? Because funding is so scarce, especially for women of color.
I know that you've put that money towards good use, such as the symptom tracker for women. So, expecting new mothers can track bleeding and all of that. Tell us about the symptom tracker and how it works and helps.
Okay, the symptom tracker helps women track high blood pressure during pregnancy and postpartum, right? So, what we notice is so many women will be in, especially mothers, be in excruciating pain. And we're like, let me just pick my kid up from school. Let me just, clean the counter. Let me just do everything except take care of ourselves. So, the She Matters postpartum symptom tracker, which is in the Apple store, right? It's for free. It just helps women get to the hospital emergency room, make that doctor's appointment immediately. It allows women to track symptoms around preeclampsia, eclampsia, and HELP syndrome, right? So that you don't have to wonder, I think that I could put this off for for 5 minutes or until Tuesday or until next month. The symptom tracker says, hey, you mom, prioritize yourself and get yourself to the hospital right now.
Jade, tell us more about the Pink Book.
The Pink Book is a book of safe hospitals across this nation that we researched for almost a year, where women, especially women of color, can have safe births. And it was based off of the rate of cesarean sections, infant mortality, morbidity, and mortality. And we are very proud of the Pink Book because you can be in, Chicago, you can be in LA, you can be in New York, and a Black mother doesn't have to try to figure out where she'll get the best care. She can just go to the Pink Book and look and say, okay, this hospital is part of the Pink Book, right? And our next step is to add birthing centers to the Pink Book and, clinics to the Pink Book. It is a work in progress. And we invite people to share, their hospitals and their birthing centers if they've had great experiences or not so great experiences.
What's the vision for She Matters moving forward?
The vision for us is to be in 80% of hospitals and medical schools, our certification. That doctors will take cultural competency seriously and get everyone in their hospital certified, everyone in their medical schools certified. And our next product will be tech-enabled birthing centers, which we are so excited about. California has 40 birthing centers. New York City has 3. So we're looking at birthing centers throughout the New York City metro area, New York and New Jersey, really.
Wait, New York City only has three. I could think of three off the top of my head in New Jersey.
I had all of my kids at Morristown Hospital, and I lived at one point in New York and would cross the bridge. So shout out to Morristown.
I had my
And once
babies
you
at Morristown too. The best experience ever, ever.
yes,
And I'm sure you had the whole team. Did you have a doula?
I had a doula. My doula was from New York, but I had a doula, and I was at AristaCare under Dr. Garfinkel and Dr. Maringer. Was that
I
your
was
doctor?
not well. So my midwife is under them. That's so
Yes,
funny. I love
like
that.
Dr. Maringer is the doctor at that birthing center, and she delivered all of my children.
Those midwives, I absolutely love and adore them. The doulas, it's just so important. I preach to everyone, like, make sure you have a doula during that process because it helps so
Absolutely,
much.
absolutely.
I want to get the interview back on track though. What are
Yes,
you doing in the birth center? Because you were talking about tech center birth. So
yes. Well,
how
a
is She
tech
Matters
enabled.
helping with that?
So we want to create a tech-enabled birthing center. That's our next step, and that just means that everything will be done before the mom gets to the birthing center. So everything will be done through the app on her phone, and she'll get there, and it'll be a seamless process, right? And what technology does, and this is part of our certification, right? Technology allows us to not say who we are, what we look like, where we come from. It levels the playing field a bit, right? And so I think it's super important that the process be streamlined because one of the biggest issues is there's no integrated care between doula, midwife, hospital. And so we want to change that and make it a seamless process using technology, which is what we're about. We're a tech company.
Well, Jade, this was so much fun. I just love your energy and everything that you are about. Where can people learn more about She Matters?
Well, you can go to www.shematters.health and you can see us on Instagram at shematters.io. And we're, in most of any female femtech uh, sites or companies. We're all over. There are articles about what we're doing and how we're doing it. But also always encourage LinkedIn, She Matters on LinkedIn, and reach out to us.
Definitely will. Thank you so much, Jade. Good luck to you. And we look forward to having you on to get an update on everything you are working on.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye.
Eiko La Boria is founder of the Flow Initiative, a Jersey City-based national organization dedicated to eliminating period poverty and achieving menstrual equity through advocacy, education, and the distribution of free menstrual health products. Eiko, welcome to the show. Can you explain what period poverty is and why it's such a critical issue?
Yes, so period poverty is a lack of access to menstrual products, including menstrual hygiene products. Oftentimes, that translates into water or being able to access sanitation stations, right? So we look at the homeless, we think of those in low income or low resource communities that may be living in housing authorities, but just don't have enough uh, money, right? It comes from a socioeconomic status to access these products. There's often, period poverty. You'll hear period poverty and menstrual equity spoken about interchangeably, but they're actually quite different because period poverty really does depend on the socioeconomic and just being not able to afford it, where menstrual equity just speaks to the lack of access overall, whether you can or can afford it or not, just a lack of access to menstrual products in bathrooms, in workspaces, in colleges, really where there should be access to these products.
How did you start the Flow Initiative?
So the Flow Initiative began, really, I was reading about West African developing nations when I first read a sentence that said, boys know that a girl is ready to have babies when they see blood running down their leg. And I thought, of course, developing nations, they don't readily have access to these products. And then I asked my question, I wonder if this happens in America. And of course it does, because wherever there is a poverty, wherever there is, a lack of access to to crucial things like food or food insecurity, you're going to find menstrual insecurity. You're going to find period poverty. And once I, learned of this, it was very hard to turn away. And I really, thought I could make a difference.
And you are. Talk about some of your significant accomplishments since starting the Flow Initiative.
We started during the pandemic, right before the pandemic in 2019. And one of the things that we really found was the sense of community, of people coming together, churches, organizations coming to distribute food. So, once we saw that there were these places that we could go to, we immediately were distributing products at churches, at different place food distribution centers. But then myself, I said, okay, so this is great, we're doing this on a Saturday, but what happens if someone gets their period on Monday? So this sort of thinking led to the creation of Project Local Access, which put menstrual products in libraries, and the libraries really were transformed into these access hubs for menstrual products. And because of that, there was a great, response. We saw enormous amount of girls and, people in the community really using that as a resource. From there, looking forward, we asked ourselves, okay, so should menstrual access to menstrual products solely be based on donations? And the answer was no. So we lobbied greatly for a change in legislation, and really, went down to Trenton. We practically lived there for about 2-3 years, and going and testifying. And our greatest, I think, accomplishments, there was about 6 menstrual equity bills, but I think the top 3 are the free menstrual products in school bill that was signed in August of last year by Governor Murphy. Also, a mandate to have access to free menstrual products in homeless shelters. And very recently, he signed the Menstrual Hygiene Benefits Program, which is a government benefits program that now allots $14 for menstrual products and $30 for diapers. And now we look forward to the future. What's next? And for us, that's innovation. That's looking at to how do we really make this, access to menstrual product a part of the infrastructure of just about everywhere, right? Because women, girls are everywhere, and that's where menstrual products should be.
I am so happy to hear how Governor Phil Murphy and the state recognizes what's happening and that they are giving full support to making sure period poverty is erased.
Yes.
And it's because of you, in part, that they are aware that this is happening. And I mean, kudos to you for such an accomplishment.
Well, thank you so much. And it was a great team effort. So we're very grateful to Governor Murphy for really championing this and really being there to support us.
Well, how can our viewers support you? Where can we find out more and to donate?
You can certainly find us at the Flow Initiative Foundation.org. Also, we are online on IG at the Flow Initiative. I'm happy to share this journey with a partner at the Flow Initiative, Sabrina Brown, who really focuses a lot on the marketing and sort of raising that awareness partnership. And this is all about a team effort, incredible people across the state, across the country, really coming together to just really make a cultural shift in access to menstrual products.
You definitely are achieving that. Well, we have to shout out the person who brought us together, Deb Belfato. She is a very dear friend of mine, and I know yours as well.
Oh, yeah. Deb is so fantastic. From the moment I met her, she's just been so supportive and really just uplifted our mission. We just had an incredible workshop with her on October 19th, which is a journey through women's health, and always looking forward to her incredible ONNJ PAC event, which just brings so many people together.
Yep, that's coming up March 29th. Mark your calendars. Eiko, thank you so much. I'm so happy to finally meet you.
Thank you so much. And I will see you in March, right?
I will see you in March. It'll be here before we know it.
Thank you so much for the time and for the honor of speaking with you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for joining me on another episode of Your New Jersey. I'm Lisa Marie Falbo. We'll see you back here next week.